So I love to read, right? One of my favorite things in this world is to just pick up a book, sit down, lay down, or whatever, and read. And if I was to say or name one of the things that absolutely changed my life, it would have to be reading. And I don't say this as the cliche thing, reading has changed my life, right? It absolutely has changed my life. And it's one of those things that has sort of helped with my evolution as a person, right? But I think, unfortunately, I think we live in a generation in which we don't read as much as we should. I feel like most of us are glued to our cell phones or digital devices, and we don't pick up a book, a physical book, as much as we should. Right? And here's the thing. Reading isn't to become some intellectual guru or feed your intellectual ego or whatever. The main reason why I feel like everyone should read is for this one reason. And this one reason is that we feel through our thoughts, right? And what I mean by that is most of us are in a perpetual state of negativity simply because we keep thinking the same thoughts, which keep leading to the same feelings, right? We're so negative because all we have in our minds are negative ideologies and negative thoughts. But when you begin to read, you sort of begin to replace those negative ideas with more positive ideas. And that allows your feelings and your thoughts and just your overall, state of being to change. And for this reason, I'm going to give you guys 5 of the books that, changed my life. And I'm just going to touch on them briefly, right? So the first one, right? I'm excited for this one. The first one is called Awareness by Anton de Mello. Hopefully you guys can see that. Even if you don't, I'm going to obviously put the name on the screen so you have it or whatever. Awareness by Anton de Mello. Now, when I first read this book, I feel like it opened my mind to so much, right? There was so much that I agreed with, things that I've never heard in my life before. And I feel like you, in order for you to read this book, you have to go into it and read with an open mind, right? So it's essentially what he does is he talks about the power of awareness, and awareness truly being the catalyst of change, right? And essentially, most of us, we go through life and we're not aware of the things that truly affect us. We're not aware of why we do the things that we do. We're really running based on an unconscious program that controls every aspect of our lives. And we keep feeling the same feelings and thinking the same thoughts, but it's not truly us. It's really just our programming. So essentially what he does is he brings awareness to some of the things that, I guess, affect us on the daily. And one of my favorite quotes from this book, which you probably heard me reference quite a bit, is what you are aware of, you are in control of. What you are not aware of is in control of you, right? Essentially it's saying, until you bring awareness to the things that you're not aware of, they are always going to control you. And it sort of goes in line with this Carl Jung quote. It's essentially the same thing, but just different words, in which Carl Jung said, until you made the unconscious conscious, and I'm just summarizing, by the way, you're going to keep living your life, stubbing your feet, bumping your toe, and you're going to call it fate, when in actuality, it's not fate, it's just the things that you're not aware of, right? And so awareness is truly a powerful thing. And until we bring, I guess, a light to the darkness and the things that affect us, we're going to keep living the same lives and we're going to be stuck in, I guess, a state of negativity, right? And also one of the things that I like about this book as well, I like how he includes teachings from the Bible, but he does it in a very non-dogmatic way, right? He doesn't tell you need to go to church, you need to do this and do that. He just gives you wisdom from the Bible, essentially in a way that can help you regardless of if you're Christian or religious or not, right? And that's one of the things that I love about this book. It's it's really deep knowledge from a non-dogmatic perspective, right? From a perspective in which everyone can, I guess, profit or gain wisdom and understanding from this book, regardless of whatever spiritual or religious path you're from, right? The second one, this is, I guess this is a quite popular book. But even though it's popular, I feel like I had to include it, because this book is one of those books in which if you read it, it has no choice but to sort of change your life, right? And it's no other than the Four Agreements. Hopefully y'all can see that. Yeah, the Four Agreements. Now, the Four Agreements is just basically 4 new agreements that we can make with ourselves on the daily. Throughout our days, I feel like we have so many unconscious agreements that we make with ourselves. And these unconscious agreements essentially are the things that are dictated in our lives, right? And these 4 new agreements that he talks about, they're meant to help us live a better life. In the sense that if you replace these 4 agreements, and they're so broad and general, right? You can apply these and extrapolate these to every single aspect of your life. With these 4 agreements, you can step into a new you. You can step into a better state of mind. You can step into, I guess, a better self-image, right? But until we sort of change the agreements that we make with ourselves and we stop running from that unconscious programming, we're going to keep living the same lives. And essentially, this is what he talks about. And I love this book for the reason that it's so simple. Like, literally, I gave this to my 7-year-old brother to read. It's so simple, but at the same time, it's so deep. There's so much knowledge in this book, despite its simplicity, that regardless of who you are, you can read it and gain knowledge and understanding from this book. And I've gave this book to even, someone that I've dated before, and she read it in like a day or two, and she thanked me after she read it. I feel like she said that it changed her perspective on life and a lot of things. So if you haven't read this book, The Four Agreements, I would definitely recommend you pick it up, because you will absolutely change your mindset. The next one of my personal favorites, Psycho-Cybernetics. Hopefully y'all can see that. Yeah, Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell, Maltz. And I'll definitely rate this book as the epitome of self-improvement and self-realization books, right? And the reason for that is that I feel like it covers so much information. Like, there's literally so much information in this book. It combines so many different aspects of self-improvement and our self-image and our self-worth. And it's practical as well. Like, it definitely has practical information in it that you can apply to your life, right? And for that reason, I think I'll definitely put it up there. Now, one of my biggest takeaways from this book, right? One of the biggest things that I took away from this book is that you cannot change your external world and expect your internal world to be altered, right? And I think in our day and age, most of us, we sort of try to, I guess, acquire more. We try to gain a better job, a better car, a better house, get into a relationship, make ourselves more good looking, whatever. And while those things are necessary, right, they won't change how you feel about yourself until you go within yourself and alter yourself internally, right? And so most of us, when we go through life, we don't realize that we're sort of trying to fix a broken leg with a band-aid, and life doesn't operate like that. Life truly doesn't work like that. Until you go within yourself and you sort of work on the internal things, no matter how much you gain, no matter how better looking you become, no matter how much money you make, it won't change how you view yourself, because internally you have to alter and change yourself from the inside out, right? From within. And he even talks about the fact that, he had this patient that came in and wanted to alter her face, right? Plastic surgery or whatever. And after the plastic surgery, she was still the same person that she was before. And even beyond that, she probably got worse, because now she had a different look physically. But even though she had a different look physically, it didn't change how she felt about herself. And I feel like that is one of the things that can sort of drive us into depression. Once we realize that all the external things that we chase, after all the things that we try to acquire, if we have not altered ourselves, if we not have changed ourselves from within, then we're not truly going to change at all, because nothing external can define you internally. The internal things within are going to be the things that determine, how we feel and how we live life, right? So definitely go pick up this book, Psycho-Cybernetics. I love this book. I'm probably going to reread it maybe next month, a month or so, The next one, and this is probably gonna go off radar a bit, right? I feel like it's a quite popular book, but at the same time, it goes beyond just self-improvement. And this book is called The Kybalion. And this edition is by Elijah D. Evans. The Kybalion. Now, the reason why I said this book goes off the radar a bit is because it's a book about ancient Hermetic philosophy. And in this book, it talks about the 7 principles or laws that operate the universe, right? I can't list all of them off the top of my head at this moment, but there's 7 principles or laws that govern the universe. Now, the universe, if you were to observe how life works, there are certain laws that govern our physical world and our physical reality, right? The principle of mentalism, that's the first one. Everything is mind. Everything is thought, right? The world is constructed based on thought. The principle of gender, principle of polarity, which I talked about in one of my previous videos. The principle of rhythm. What else? The principle of correspondence, right? And these laws govern our physical reality. Now, since most of us, also the principle of cause and effect, that's a huge one right there. Also, since most of us are not essentially aware of these laws, we're essentially going against the flow of how the universe works. And once you're going against the flow because of ignorance, you're going to suffer, right? You're going to keep bumping your head, and you're going to keep wonder why you keep bumping your head and stubbing your toe. And that's because you're not in alignment. You're not with the flow. You're not going with the Tao, right? Right? You're not going with the laws that govern the universe. And until you understand how the world works and how the universe works, you're not going to be able to construct the life that you want to construct. You're not going to find the peace that you want to gain, the fulfillment that you want to gain. And for this reason, I feel like this book is very important, and it goes beyond any, religion and spirituality. It's really just common sense at the end of the day. Like, even when we talk about the principle of cause and effect, a lot of us are not aware that even the thoughts that we think on the daily are the things that are creating our reality, right? The actions that we take, they have consequences, right? If you want to talk about the principle of rhythm, a lot of us, when we find ourselves in a negative state of mind, we sort of become, overly anxious and worried and depressed, without understanding that our emotions are always in a rhythm, always in motion, right? And once you understand these things, even when you're faced with the low times in your life, you can just sit and just observe your emotions and allow them to be as they are, right? You can't just be there and essentially not become too worried, because you understand that even the negative emotions and the negative, I guess, state of mind is going to leave you at some point, because nothing is truly permanent in this world. Everything is always in motion, right? So I feel like these laws, if you learn them, you can extrapolate and apply them to your life, and they will help you to live a much better life. And certain things that you probably didn't necessarily understand, it can bring awareness to these things. And I guess I keep going back to the first book that I talked about when I talked about awareness, because awareness is truly what we need to live a fruitful and a successful and a happy life, right? So I guess that's the general theme of this book, awareness. The last one, and when I read this book, man, I couldn't put it down. Like, I really couldn't put it down. The last one is called, and this is, I feel like, is a quite popular one as well, but it's still good. The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. See that right there? By Sharma. Now, the reason why I like this book is because it's sort of multi-dimensional. The author talks about, and it's sort of a story, right? But it has a deeper connotation. The author talks about the fact that you can chase all the pleasures in the world. You can chase all the success, all the good things, all the luxuries in the world, right? But if you're not in alignment with who you are, and if you're not fulfilled from within, right? If you're not at peace, it doesn't matter how much success you have, right? No, it doesn't matter how much you own. Your life will still be in chaos, right? And so in this book, it takes different perspectives. He doesn't necessarily say that we shouldn't go out and, I guess, strive for success and strive for the luxury, right? He doesn't say that. Essentially, what he's saying is that we need to walk the middle path of life, right? We need to be working towards things that we want to achieve, but don't allow your sense of fulfillment to be based on what you have and your achievements, right? Achievements are good, but also focus on feeding your soul, right? Feeding your spirit, being a balanced person, right? And I think when you think about life, most people are really on one or the other end of the spectrum. Most people are either so caught up in all the pleasures of life and they're not feeding their souls, or most people, they live in a state of comfort, a perpetual state of comfort in which they don't carry out their dharma, right? And truly what I'm essentially getting at is that, and this is, I feel like, is one of the main things that my channel tries to promote, and I try to promote to you guys, is that you have to be in a balanced state. You have to be living a balanced life. You can't just chase all the pleasures of life and not enjoy life. You can't just sit around and procrastinate and live in fear, live in stagnation, right? You have to be balanced. Go after the things that you desire in this life while living and enjoying them, while living and enjoying the present moment. That truly is what life is about. If you are always just pursuing the things of life, or if you're never truly working towards anything, you're not truly living, right? Or you're sort of half-assed in life. You have to be balanced. And even the Buddha talked about this when he talked about the middle path and being in the middle. Not too much pleasure, right? And not too much, I guess, stagnation, right? You have to be in the middle path. That's what life, or that's how life is meant to be lived. And also, I feel like this book is, even though it's a story, it's quite practical. There are practical things and practical, I guess, guides in this book that you can implement in your life to change your life, right? And that's what I love about this. It's really one of my favorite books, which is why I included it in this list. And I really think it's a very, I guess, a book that is able to open your mind and give you a different perspective on life, right? And so With that being said, those are my, not necessarily top 5, because I feel like I have books here that I like more, but more so those are the books that I would recommend someone if they were looking to elevate their mindset and change their lives, right? Those are my top 5 books. And like I said, don't just read these to just read them. Read them and apply them to your life. Use the knowledge and the wisdom in these books to live a better life, right? Because we have to understand that the quality of our life depends on the quality of our thoughts. And if our thoughts are negative, if our thoughts do not serve us, if the beliefs we have do not serve us, then how can we serve ourselves? How can we live the life that we want to live? And once you understand that, you have to understand that you have to take what you put up here very seriously. Don't get so caught up in the negativity of life. Don't just live and consume negativity. Feed your mind with good food, just as how you feed your body with good food as well. That's necessary, right? Just as important as what you feed your body, right? So yeah, that's it for the video. Hopefully you guys hopefully you found value in these books. I'm tired. And hopefully you do apply them to your life as well. And I'm probably gonna make one of these videos again in the next 6 months or so. I'm always reading books, and when I do find books that I think are valuable, I will share them, because knowledge is meant to be shared. And we're meant to sort of help each other grow and elevate. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your mental health. That's very important. And I'll get back with y'all in the next one. Peace and blessings.